Hi, my name is Camila Salas, and this week's module was all about blended learning. The first article that we read was titled Using Blended Learning, and it talked about how there are many different, widely accepted definitions for blended learning, although there isn't one that's really standard. Blended learning isn't about the ratio or percentage of online to in-class work, but more about finding the best way to use the best things from online learning and from in-class learning to create great pedagogy. Blended learning lowers per-pupil cost while allowing for a higher level of interaction and more discussion control between students and teachers. Currently, there are 6 models for K-12, 5 for higher ed, and 3 for corporate training environments, although all of these are high-level pedagogical approaches, and they don't give much detail into how to use them. This article also included a really useful diagram to help test out new frameworks. After reading this article, I found myself questioning if all approved blended learning curriculum had to be under these specific models, and I was wondering if they had to be approved in order to be used in a classroom. I also really enjoyed how informative and unbiased this article felt. I liked just learning about blended learning without having to hear anyone's opinions just yet. The first video that we watched was about blended learning versus tech integration. And it talked about how blended learning involves deep interaction and collaboration, and how there's a very small gray area between blended learning and tech integration. Some of the hallmarks of blended learning include strong connection between online and offline work, increased student collaboration and control, an online classroom presence or learning management system, and a beneficial repurposed time. Blended learning is about instructional design and is less about using tools, and it still requires good teaching. It should make the best of both online worlds and in-class worlds. This video reminded me a lot of when I was in K-12, and it made me think about how online learning when I was a kid was more about tech integration, and teachers didn't really know how to implement blended learning yet. And even though tech integration is good, I feel like the rise of blended learning is really good to see. The last video that we watched was titled Blended Learning at an Elementary School, and it showed us blended learning actually being put into practice, with an in-class example. The specific school that we watched gave 10 computers per classroom, and this allowed students to have the ability to learn while also connecting enjoyment that usually happens at home from the computers. The class utilized a math program called Dreambox, which included lessons and games, and it integrated Common Core and class material into the students' work. The game reinforced student learning and allowed for extra practice at their own pace and each individual level, and the teacher who was implementing the game and the blended learning used the game in rotation in small groups. So she would have a group of students that she would focus on, there would be a computer group, and then a hands-on group that would be working on some sort of hands-on activity, and these groups would switch in and out. Blended learning also provides opportunity to learn basic tech skills, which is really important, especially for young students who are growing up in a 21st century world. My reactions to this video were very positive, and it actually reminded me of my midterm, because I used a similar math site called Prodigy. I'm also happy to see that it mentioned an effort to teach young students tech skills, because this is very important, especially in this day and age. Overall, this week's module taught me that blended learning can be great, if implemented with great attention and care. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about blended learning.